Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Winnipeg Jets franchise mode here in NHL 24. So, in last episode, we took on the defending Cup champions in the Minnesota Wild in the first round, and we actually had a pretty good time against them and have found ourselves here into the second round. Now, the first round matchup was a nice little sweep. We won game 1 2-1, so pretty close game. Could have went either way. But then we started to blow up offensively, which was great to see. We won 6-3, 7-1 in a huge game 3. And then we closed out the series with a 5-3 victory. So we outscored them quite badly in that series and managed to sweep them. And now we're taking on a St. Louis Blues team that has knocked us out last season and in the past. They have been a team that haven't been able to get super far in the playoffs. They've never won a Stanley Cup, but this might be the year that they definitely put it together, because you can see during the regular season, they had 57 wins, which I believe had them win the President's Trophy. And yeah, they didn't have the best first round, but they still managed to get themselves to the second round, which makes me feel like they could kind of cheese us out of this playoff run. If we look so far, as you can see here, head over to the Western Conference playoff stats. If we go based on wins, you can see we swept the first round, scoring 20 goals, so 5 goals per game. We gave up 2 goals per game, but the St. Louis Blues actually scored less goals than they gave up, which is kind of interesting. So they scored 14, allowed 15, but they still won in 6 games. And their top players weren't really doing as good as they normally do. They also didn't have a good power play, but they did have an okay penalty kill that was 100% just like ours. So I feel like they definitely could all of a sudden turn it on offensively, and their goaltender just continues to do what he did in the first round, which is not great. So hopefully we could find a way to beat them and get revenge on them from last year. But it's going to be a lot of work. They do, like I said, have a very good forward group, especially in the top 6. Rest of their team is kind of interesting. Like, I wouldn't say they're like a top team by any stretch. Like, even though they technically won the President's Trophy, they aren't definitely the best offensive team I've ever seen. But you can see with these 4 X Factor guys of Rosehill, Eckford, Lashoff, and Weeks, they definitely have a very good top 6. All of these guys have not gotten super far in the playoffs. Like, the farthest they've gotten is the conference finals, and that was one time in their career, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is probably the one time they've went to the conference finals, but you can see only 67 career playoff games for Rosehill. So the St. Louis Blues just haven't been able to put it together in the playoffs, but if they're going to, it would probably be this year, because Peyton Eckford being a 98 overall is absolutely insane. These guys are also getting very close to being free agents too. Like, their top 2 wingers are on their last year of their contracts. I don't know if they have extensions in place. I actually might lose 3 of their top 6 guys, so this might be the last chance for them to win a Stanley Cup. So I'm hoping that we could kind of like make them not win a Stanley Cup, but if they do win a Stanley Cup, you could kind of understand why they would. If we go to, actually, let's go to the contracts and see if those guys actually have extensions in place or not, because if all 3 of them leave the team after the season, St. Louis is definitely going to fall off a cliff. So looks like there is an extension in place for Rosehill. There is one also in place for Lashoff and also for Gavin Weeks, but Gavin Weeks is making less money. So Eckford might be walked to free agency within the next few years, which is interesting. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see that because we're probably in one of our last few episodes of the series. But that's a lot of money that they're paying to this team right now. And I guess they have a lot of their guys locked up long term, but still, it seems like they're definitely in a spot where they must win soon, or else they're going to lose all these good players that they have on their rosters. So will be interesting to see what ends up happening in this second round, to see who gets to the conference finals. Winner will face either the Calgary Flames, which have some good players if I'm not mistaken, or the Seattle Kraken. But anyways, before we get into this second round matchup of the St. Louis Blues, let's get in your guys' comments and see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll take on St. Louis and see if we could pull off the upset. So the one and only comment is from Sanaro Otaku, who says, nothing to complain about this round. Maybe Irving took Kawasari under his wing, no pun intended, and someday will become captain. I'm with you in the that I expect St. Louis's offense to come alive. And yeah, it's kind of interesting because Kawasari developed a born leader zone ability, which is kind of interesting because I haven't seen a player develop that. And I don't really know how players develop those as X factors. Like, do they have to have a certain amount of poise or something like that? Like, what is the poise on him? 86, that's not too bad. But yeah, Timo Kawasari has generated the Born Leader ability and Puck on a String, which is really nice to see. Considering he was a second round pick, is really nice to see as well. And yeah, in general, we have still a pretty good squad. Like, you can see our offense is still really good. Aiden Irving dropped down to a 74, which I didn't even realize. But this is probably definitely his last run for sure in a chance to win another Stanley Cup. But all these other guys, like, we definitely, even if we lose Aiden Irving to retirement, I'd say this team would definitely do still good again next season. Obviously, there will probably not be another season, depending on, I guess, if we lose or not. But we literally only have, as of this recording, 2 weeks until NHL 25 drops, so I don't know what I'll do if the series ends earlier. You guys could kind of give me some ideas what we could do if we end up running the series only till the end of the season. But our team looks still really solid. We might get Kopecky back into the lineup as a defenseman at some point, depending on how our defensive play plays in the beginning of the second round. But so far, it's been pretty good, so I think I would probably like to keep it the same. Like, Fawcett's been great defensively, and he's had 3 points already as well, so we will probably keep it like this for now. But obviously, if we need to make adjustments, at least we have players that we could throw into the lineup. So very excited to see what ends up happening in the second round, if we could actually contain that top 6 of the Blues, because it has been a bit problematic for us in the past. Because last year when we played them, if I'm not mistaken, their top line was one of their best lines, and we could just not contain them, and that's why we ended up losing. So if we can contain them, I definitely think we have a good chance at maybe finding ourselves to a conference finals. But anyways, let's get to game number 1. We are on the road to start the series, because obviously St. Louis, I believe, won the President's Trophy, so we got to watch out for that. Hopefully they have the President's Trophy curse. And yeah, let's see if we can find ourselves somehow into the conference finals. So game number 1 in St. Louis. Let's see if we could get off to a good start on the road and also somehow limit their offense. Because like I said, their offense hasn't been good so far. So let's just try and keep them off the score sheet. First period. 3-1 us. Okay, that's a good start. However, we might score all of our goals in game 1 and then never score again. They scored first on the power play, Peyton Eckford. So once again, their top line, of course, opens the scoring. But a short-handed goal, his first goal of the playoffs, from the 74 overall Aiden Irving. That's awesome to see. That might be one of his last career playoff goals. You never know at this stage. Blunden also scores and Marsh scores. So 3 of our big guys scoring. I mean, these 2 guys are the players of the future on that left wing side. Aiden Irving obviously was the right wing / left wing guy of the old dog mentality on this team. I don't really know how to explain it. Like, he was of the old regime. That's what I'm trying to say. When this team was at its peak. Obviously, it's not at our peak right now. But we have been still a pretty good team for most of Aiden Irving's career, which is awesome to see. So shots are 11-10 in favor of us. It's a 3-1 game, so we got to Christensen early. Now we just need to find a way to have some good defensive periods if we can. Second period. 4-3. Ew, that's not great. Harrison made it 4-1, but they have pulled back into the game. They get a shorthanded goal of their own, and another one. Lashoff has 2 goals in the final 3 minutes. Yeah, their top line is just doing as good as it normally does. It didn't have the best first round, but it definitely has came alive here in the second round, just as we would suspect. Shots are 23-20 in favor of us. We are still up by a goal despite having a 4-1 lead at one point. So I am a little bit weary that we're going to blow this lead, but hopefully we can find a way to maybe play better defensively in the third period, because that second period definitely is not one we want to have going forward. We want to be able to lock down those periods, keep it a 3-1 game, and then hopefully, just not do anything else stupid. So let's see what happens in this final 20 minutes, potentially see if we could get some insurance and make me feel a little bit more safe. Come on, boys, let's get that next one. Maybe Aiden Irving has another goal in him. You never know. He is the man, the myth, the legend of this franchise mode. Penalty kill, nicely done. Power play for us. We do not score on it, but it does kill some time off the clock. Another power play opportunity, and once again, we don't score. And now we score. It's Backer, of all people. It makes it 5-3, and that will be it. We have taken game number 1. So another solid offensive game from this team. The last 4 games we've played, we've been scoring 5 or more goals a game. So that's really impressive. Final shots are 30-30 as well. So even game in terms of chances, but we win by a pair of goals. That was, that was not a bad first game of the series. The second period definitely was a little bit worrisome, but the other periods were pretty good. Irving from DePenta and Marsh, Blunden from Bickle and Kabusari, Marsh from Bulbrook and Vandermeer, Harrison from Vernarski and DePenta, and the insurance marker Backer from Holmquist and Waters. Nice. We're still getting offense from a lot of different lines, which is nice too. So Lashoff first star for them, then Marsh, and then Backer. Okay. So Lashoff and Eckford were those goal scorers for the Blues. We got to watch out for that top line completely if we can. Because if they keep on doing that, that's going to be problematic. If they have to rely on their depth forwards to score, we might have an easier time potentially against them. But we have been really good offensively. As I said, we've literally scored 5 or more goals in the last 4 games. So hopefully our offense continues on that pace. Doesn't just dry up out of nowhere, because I have seen that happen numerous times in franchise mode before. So let's keep the team the exact same going into game 2. And obviously, if there's any problems, we could address some stuff going forward. All right, game number 2, still in St. Louis. Can we find a way to take a 2-0 stranglehold? Well, it's not really a stranglehold, I guess. It's kind of like a light chokehold, I guess. Can we find a way to get a 2-0 series lead headed home? First period of game number 2. Another 3-1 start for our team. This time we did score first. Marsh and Holmquist, they get a power play goal from Weeks to pull them within 1, but Harrison scores again to make it a 3-1 game. I'm really surprised we're having these good of starts in the first period. Like, the second period is usually, I guess, our worst period. Hopefully we have a better second period in this game than last game, because like I said, last game, that's when they got back into the game. So if we could kind of just keep it the same like this, or have a 4-1 lead instead, then I'll feel a little bit more safe going into the final 20 minutes. Shots are 16-13 in favor of us. We're up by a pair of goals. Once again, their top 6 has a goal, which is not great, but we have been able to get our offense going at least from a lot of different lines, which is definitely going to be useful going forward with the matchups. Can we get some more insurance in the second period? Second period. 7-4. Wow. Okay, this is quite the offensive game. I'll remove my face so you guys can actually see all the goals. So Lashoff scores for them to make it 3-2. Marsh makes it 4-2. Brindamore makes it 4-3. Vandermeer makes it 5-3. Bickle makes it 6-3. Lashoff makes it 6-4. And Bulbrook makes it 7-4 after 2 periods only. Shots are 29-24 in favor of us. We're up by 3 goals. We should be able to put this one in the bag, but once again, it's been a really bad time for us defensively in the second period in these first 2 games. But once again, we've scored more than 5 goals in a game, which is insane for like the 5th consecutive game in a row, I guess. Yeah, it would be the 5th consecutive game if I'm not mistaken. So it's been a really good offensive stretch for this team, but I am a little bit worried still about our goals against these last few games. Hopefully we can find a way to be a little bit better in our own end. So third period underway. Let's see what ends up happening. See if we can hold them off. This has been a high-flying offensive game. Let's keep it the same if we can. Penalty kill in the third period. We get a goal afterwards. DePenta makes it 8-4. Wow. Okay. Don't think I've seen 8 goals scored in the Sim Engine in a while. 9-4. Blunden scores again. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. This offense is insane right now. And we're going to take game 2 by a score of 9-4, out shooting them 46-28. We must have shot them really badly in that third period, but holy crap, what a game. I am worried that our offense is just going to really dry up out of nowhere, because it's been so dominant that eventually it's going to dry up out of nowhere, and our team is just going to only score like 1 to 2 goals a game. I just feel it coming. So goals: Marsh from Bulbrook, Holmquist from Waters, Harrison from Fawcett and Gustafson, Marsh from Bulbrook and Ekholm, Vandermeer from Ekholm and Kress, Bickle from Kavusari, Bulbrook from Vandermeer and Ekholm, DePenta from Kavusari and Bickle, Blunden from Kavusari and Bickle. God damn, that's a lot of goals. But the shot chart, what I wanted to look at, yeah, we outshot them 17-4 in that third period. So we locked it down very nicely, which is pretty nice to see. Let's take a look at our player stats in that one. So Bulbrook had 3 points, same with Ekholm, Bickle, Kavusari. You had Marsh and Vandermeer on 2 points, and then you had a bunch of guys on 1 point as well. And there was only 4 guys that were not on the score sheet in that one of them being Aiden Irving, the other being 2 defensemen, and then Bohms, who already had a 3-point game once in the playoffs so far. And yeah, Kalinin was not very good in that game, but he got the victory. And that's all that counts. The first star of the game goes to Marsh, second star Bickle, and third star Bulbrook. All right. I would have had a tough time deciding on who was going to be the 3 stars in that one, with all the goals scored in that one too. All right, so we're 6-0 in the playoffs. I am kind of worried that we're on such a great streak right now, because winning 6 games in a row and to start the playoffs, like, we have not lost at this point. Eventually, you think we'd go on a losing streak of 4 straight games or something like that, but hopefully that doesn't happen. So we take both games in St. Louis, outscoring them by a score of 14-7, so doubling them up. We now head to home ice looking to take a 3-0 series lead. This could be the series that we get reverse swept in, if we're being honest. Like, I could definitely see us getting like a win here, and then all of a sudden our offense just drops out of nowhere. St. Louis finds theirs and finds a way to win 4 straight games. But I'm really hoping that I'm wrong with that. I'm trying not to jinx us, but I honestly might be jinxing us. Who knows? Okay, so I'm going to keep the team the same because that was 2 good offensive efforts. I'm not too sold on the goaltending right now, but we've been getting wins, so might as well not fix it. But if we obviously lose a game and we allow a lot, we should probably look at maybe making some adjustments defensively because that's probably where we've been struggling the most so far in this postseason. So let's get to game number 3 on home ice now. See if we could take a 3-0 series lead on the President's Trophy winners and the St. Louis Blues, who knocked us out last season and have kind of been a really good team these last few years, and definitely they're on the uprise to win a Stanley Cup potentially, so I'm hoping that we can knock them out easily in these next 2 games. First period, game 3. 1-0 us. Okay. So not as good of an offensive start as the last 2 games, obviously, because we usually have a 3-1 lead after 1. But definitely having the lead after 1 is a nice thing to have, as DePenta gets our only goals. Shots are 14-12 in favor of the Blues. But so far, good goaltending, good defense, and we do got an offensive goal. So just got to play some good defensive hockey going forward for the rest of this game. The second period has been bad to us so far in terms of goals against. So hopefully this second period ahead is better. And then hopefully we could get some insurance so that way the third period is easier for us. Second period. 1-1, they tied it up, of course. Crawford scores a power play goal. So we have been giving up a lot of power play goals in this series, which is not ideal considering our power play, or not our power play, our penalty kill was 100% going into this round, but it hasn't been good so far in this round number 2. Shots are 26-21 in favor of the Blues. It's a 1-1 game. Let's see what happens in this third period. See if we could find a way to grab that lead back. Penalty kill to start the third. We kill it off. Nicely done, boys. Another penalty kill. We killed that off. And then they get a goal from Weeks to take the lead. That's not ideal. Come on, boys. Don't let that offense dry up like I was just mentioning. Hey, Aiden Irving ties the game up, the captain. He knows that this might be his last run. That's his second goal of the series. Fawcett scores maybe one of his first career playoff goals. That ends up being the game winner as Bulbrook gets the empty net. We have taken a 3-0 series lead on the St. Louis Blues, and we're 1 win away from potentially pulling off back-to-back sweeps. Jeez. Final shots 37-32 in favor of St. Louis, but a comeback that was started by Aiden Irving has gotten us the victory. Let's go. That's a nice victory in another game of 4 goals or more. Obviously, it wasn't 5 goals, but still 4 goals is a lot too. So DePenta's 6th from Kavusari and Bickle, and then we had Aiden Irving 2nd from Harrison and Vernarski, Fawcett's 2nd from Harrison and Irving, and Bulbrook from Ekholm and Marsh. So yeah, Fawcett's 2nd career playoff goal is a massive one at that. So I'm glad he's in the lineup over somebody like Kopecky. First start of the game, Kalinin, who had actually a really good game compared to last game. Aiden Irving gets a second start. Jeez, I kind of burped when I was talking, but it's okay. Aiden Irving gets second start, 2 points. And Harrison, the third start, with 2 points as well. It's been a very good team effort so far in this playoff run, I would say. We're getting offense from tons of different lines. Our goaltending shows up sometimes too. It's been a really good run so far, 7-0. And looks like the Calgary Flames might be sweeping the Kraken as well in the second round. Washington's up 2-1 as well, and same with Carolina. All right. All right. So if we do go to the next round, there is a chance we might be playing Calgary, which I think we have played them before, but I don't remember for sure. It's definitely been a while if I have played Calgary in the playoffs. Maybe I'm thinking of back in NHL 23. I don't even remember, to be honest. But it would be an all-Canadian conference finals, which is kind of neat. Anyways, 7-0 in the playoffs so far. Looking to make it 8-0, or are we going to get reverse swept? Because I feel like that could happen still because of how dominant our team has been. We've now technically scored 18 goals in 3 games against the Blues, only giving up a total of 9. So we're still doubling them up, which is really awesome. Anyways, game number 4, looking to pull off 2 straight sweeps. Can we do it, or are we going to go to a Game 5 scenario back in St. Louis? Come on, guys. Just keep doing what you've been doing. Just keep doing what you've been doing. First period. 1-1, I'll take it. I mean, scoring in the first period is always good. We do score pretty early on. They scored only a couple minutes later, so 2 early goals. Harrison and Gavin Weeks. Shot 16-13 in favor of the Blues, so they definitely are pushing to try and get back into this game and in the series, but we've been able to kind of hang with them quite well. So, can we take that lead back in the second period? We did score first, but does that mean anything going forward? Like I said, we've had some pretty bad second periods in the past, so obviously it would be good to start finding those second periods and playing better defensively in them, and maybe finding our offense still like we've been doing so far. Second period. 2-1 St. Louis. I feel a little bit wearisome about this game, just because we're trailing going into the third. Doesn't happen that often. Eckford gets the goal. He has been a little bit quiet since game number 1, if I'm not mistaken. Shots are 26-24 in favor of St. Louis. We are down by only a goal, so we can still come back. But if we only score 1 goal in this game, I am starting to think that we are not going to score a lot more goals in the remaining parts of the series. So I might need to make some adjustments, but we'll see what ends up happening in period 3, see if we could find our offensive touch like we've had this entire playoff run so far. Third period underway. Can we tie this game up? Aiden Irving maybe has more goals in him. He's been great in the series so far. Into the final 10 minutes of the third period. Power play for us. We do not score on it. And of course, they score. Lashoff makes it 3-1. Yeah, this looks like we're going to lose this first game of our playoff run so far. And we do pull within 1 from Aiden Irving, but it is a little bit too late. We lose by 1 goal. Aiden Irving's literally been maybe one of the best players in the series, as he's now got 3 points and 3 goals against the Blues. But unfortunately, the series is going to be extended at least 1 more game. Harrison from Vernarski and Irving, and then Irving from Vernarski and Marsh. Yeah, Irving's been really good against the Blues. I don't know what it is. But Christensen has his best game of the series for the St. Louis Blues. So I feel a little bit wearisome that we only scored 2 goals in that game, because that's the first time since which game? First time since game 1 against the Minnesota Wild that we've only scored 2 goals in a game. So I am a little bit worried that our offense is all of a sudden going to just not do enough. But we're 7-1 in the postseason, so we don't want to overthink things too much. But maybe we do. Because I have seen reverse sweeps happen a lot, and I just don't want to be reverse swept in what could be our last playoff run. Oh, I didn't even realize Ekholm was battling with an injury a little bit. Interesting. Trying to think what we want to do here. If there's anything I can do. Let's go back to Backer, Vandermeer, Crescent, to Penta, sure. I mean, we've been a great defensive team still by most stretch. Actually, not really, actually. We should probably address some things a little bit. I think the rest of this should be fine. Is there anybody that's badly minus on this team? No. Okay, that's good. Well, we've been a great offensive team, so it makes sense. Wow, that top 6 pairing has been great. Fawcett and Gustafson. Look at that, plus minus, looking nice. And then Kalinen's got a 919, so he actually has been pretty good. I was thinking about getting somebody like Caleb McNeely into the lineup, but I don't think we need to do that yet, because I think our offense has been not a problem really until last game. So hopefully we do not make this a trend that we're going to start scoring a lot of goals. Like, hopefully that was just a 1-game thing, and hopefully we can find a way to close out this series back in St. Louis. We have not lost a game so far on the road, which is pretty impressive, I think, at this stage. So looking to close out St. Louis on their home ice and go to the conference finals. Can we do so? Because if we lose this game, I'm starting to creep in the idea that we could get reverse swept a little bit more so. So hopefully this is just 1 game that we lose, and then we find ourselves in that conference finals. So game number 5. Can we pull off the gentleman's sweep and take out St. Louis in 5 games instead of the 4? First period, game 5. 2-0 us. Okay, that's a great start. That's a great start. Good offense, good defense. We only held them to 7 shots in that first period as well. So that's great. So shots 14-7. Bickle and Vernarski with the goals. Vernarski has been pretty good the last few games too, next to Aiden Irving. So I've been impressed with some of the young guys on the team in this series. Shots are 14-7, like I said. Hopefully, we don't let them get more chances in the second period, because if they start clawing back in the shots, they could obviously get back into the game. Because we're only up by a pair of goals. It's not like we're up by 3, so anything could still happen going forward. So let's just have a nice, safe defensive period in the second, and then hopefully find a way to close it out in the third period. Second period. 3-0 us. Okay, that's good. That is great. That is really good. Marsh makes it 3-0. Shots 26-18, so they definitely had a better second period, the Blues, I think, in terms of chances, but they still have not been able to score. This is the identity I want to see from this team. Good defense and solid enough offense. We don't need to dominate teams 9-4 all the time. A 3-0 win would be just as good. So, we are 20 minutes away from going to the conference finals. Let's see if we can lock it down in the third period. Hopefully, we do not find a way to blow this. Come on, guys. Final 20 minutes. Let's do this. And let's keep that road record alive. Goldobin makes it a 3-1 game as he gets the St. Louis Blues on the board. And Marsh scores a power play goal to make it 4-1. Let's go, Marsh. He's been cooking as of late, too. That's a big goal from Marsh to restore that 3-goal advantage. Into the final few minutes, it looks like we are likely going to be going back to the conference finals. Yes, we are. Ekholm makes it 5-1. And this team has only lost 1 game going into the conference finals. That's impressive. Very impressive. Final shots 37-27, or 34-27 is what I'm trying to say. And we win 5-1. So another game where we score 4 or more goals. Let's freaking go. So, our stats. Bickle from Kavasari and Blunden. Vernarski's first goal of the playoffs from Fawcett and Bohms, but he has been picking up a lot of assists as of late. Marsh from Bulbrook and Ekholm. Marsh from Bickle and Ekholm from Bulbrook and Marsh. So, top of the line did some good work in that game from the looks of it. Yeah, Marsh, Ekholm had both 3 points. Bickle had 2 points, same with Bulbrook. And then Bohms picking up a point for the first time in a while. And then everybody else had a point that were up to this point in time. Some good plus-minus again from Fawcett and Gustafsson. Those guys have been awesome as rookies. Love to see it. And then Kalinin had another strong game. 3 stars of this one. Marsh the first star, Ekholm the second star, and Kalinin the third star. So we've knocked out the President's Trophy winners. We've knocked out the defending Cup champions. Are we all of a sudden one of the favorites in the playoffs remaining? Potentially. So 8-1 in 9 games is fantastic. Let's take a look at some player stats through 9 games. And then we'll find out who we're facing in the next round. Because I am curious on who will face it, if it's going to be Calgary or Seattle. So in terms of player stats, starting off with our centers. Ekholm's got 12 points in 9 games. He's been great. Bickle on 11 points in 9 games. He's also been great. Vernarski with 5 points. That's pretty much all you kind of need from a fourth line guy. He is -1, but that's not terrible. And then Holmquist, 3 points in 9 games. So our fourth line center is doing better than our third line center, I think, at the moment, which is kind of neat. Left wing side of things, Marsh has 12 points. He's been good. Blunden on 11 points. Bohms on 6 points. 3 of those came in 1 game, though, which is kind of funny. And then Harrison, 5 points. He definitely had a better second round, I'd say, than the first round. Right wing side of things, Kavasari on 13 assists, no goals, but he's been a fantastic setup guy. Bulbrook on 11 points, Water on 6 points, and Aiden Irving on 6 points in 9 games. He has been really good as of late, too. Because Aiden Irving literally only had 38 points in the regular season, which is not a lot, but he so far has a better shooting percentage in the playoffs this year than he did last year, or during the regular season, which is kind of impressive as a 74 overall. Defensively, we have Depenta on 9 points, Vandermeer on 6. Vandermeer's been a little bit quiet, but that's okay. Fawcett has 6 points and a +13 from the young defenseman. That's really nice. Backer on 4 points, +7. Gustafsson's got 2 assists, +14. Yeah, Gustafsson and Fawcett have been a really good shutdown pairing. And then Kress only 2 assists and a +2. So Sasha Kress has been kind of overrated a little bit in this playoffs, but he has been definitely at least still kind of useful with that +2. But definitely impressed with Fawcett and Gustafsson the most on defense, I'd say, other than Depenta. And then in terms of our goaltending, Kalinin's got a .923 going into the conference finals. He has been really good. He's had some tough games at times too, but 8-1 with a .923 and a 2.33. He's been good. I don't think he has any points in the playoffs. No, he does not. So far, it's been a very good team effort, I would say. There hasn't been anybody that I have been displeased with, I would say, because everybody's been picking up good offense. I would say Kress is probably the player that's been the worst on our team, but I can't be pointing fingers at really anybody on this team, I don't think, at the moment. So there is that. The question is now, who are we facing in the conference finals. Is it the Calgary Flames, which I think have some really good players? If I'm not mistaken, Angelo Sanderson's one of them. Or are we going to be playing Seattle? We have played Seattle, I believe, in the playoffs before. But I'm not too sure of when. And also Calgary, I think we have played it before as well. And it will be the Calgary Flames. We just got that confirmation. We just got to see about the Eastern Conference Finals. That is going to be us versus Calgary and Rangers versus Capitals. Interesting. Okay. I don't know who I would prefer to play if we go to a Cup Finals, but we're taking on Calgary first. And we actually got home ice advantage too, which is interesting. They finished 47-27-8. We finished 48-26-8. So both of our teams had similar records in the regular season, but we finished, I guess, just a tiny bit above them, which is kind of neat. Let's actually look at the team stats for playoffs and regular season for them first, and then we'll take a look at what their lineup is made of, because I am very curious on what they have in their lineup, because I don't know if we've played them or if we have played them, and it's been a while. So they were only 2 points back of us during the regular season, so it should be pretty even in terms of that. Goals for per game, we were better offensively. They were a tiny bit better defensively, allowed 2 less goals. So not a huge difference there. Power play percentage, we were better by 4% almost. And their penalty kill was actually a little bit better. So they were a better defensive team. We were a better offensive team, basically, is what those numbers suggest. I don't know about how it is in the playoffs, but pretty similar teams, I'd say. Except for one's more defensively minded and the other's more offensively minded. I didn't want to go to player stats. I wanted to go to team stats. God damn it. Team stats, let's see what we got here. So if we go to Western Conference, let's take a look at us compared to Calgary. So they're 8-4, we're 8-1. They scored almost as much goals as us, but we've scored in 3 less games. They are still pretty good offensively. 3.83 goals per game will win you some games. We've been scoring still 5 goals a game, which is ridiculous. Still giving up only 2.33 as well, which is also ridiculous. They have been giving up a good chunk of goals, but 2.92 is at least better than some of the other teams in the playoffs, so it's not too bad. Our power play has been a little bit better, 1.2% better. And our penalty kills have been a lot better than ours. It definitely dropped off in that second round, but they've only been 75% on the PK so far. All right. So the question is, what is their lineup looking like? And we'll take a look at their player stats as well, just because obviously I am curious on who would be leading their team in points. I feel like it would be that Angelo Sanderson guy, but honestly, it could be anybody. So here's their team. Yeah, okay, now I know the players, and this is a very good-looking Flames offensive group. This team definitely looks better than the St. Louis Blues in terms of offense, I would say. Maybe not as much on the top line, but it's still a very good top line. So you have a 35-year-old Gavin McKenna, who I think, was drafted by the Flames. So has the Flames ever been this far? No. Wow. This is the furthest the Flames have ever been in the playoffs, I think. Actually, maybe not. That 2040, they probably made it further than this. They probably made it to the same spot, but they've never been to a finals based on those numbers. There's also Angelo Sanderson, who's a 95 overall, drafted 3rd overall. And then you have Jakub Afanasenkov, or Jakub Afanasenkov, one of the two. Second line, Evan Kahn, Ty Lowe. I think I remember Ty Lowe from somewhere. Was it always Calgary? Yeah, I guess it was always Calgary. I just recognized his name from some reason. Maybe he used to be on the top line at one point. Yves Chartrand as well. And then the third line, Saul Wang, Brian Carlson, and Abel Marita. And a fourth line of Jackson Jacobson. That's a neat name. Emmanuel Mathot and Victor Alexiev. So this is an interesting team. Mostly, I would say it's actually an okay mix of younger guys and older guys, but a lot of guys in their 30s for sure. But yeah, this is a very good forward group. Left wing isn't really that weak. Down the middle, maybe a little bit weak, you could say, on this third line center, but not too bad. And then the right wing side is very deep. Defensively, oh my goodness. Okay, they actually have a good defensive core too to back it up. Philippe Bouillon, Alexandre Bernier, so the French guys. Nicholas Cox, Lou Petrovic, Brent Vossenar, and Camden Antonio. All right. Yeah, that defensive core is really good. They have 3 really good defensemen. Cox is a solid defenseman. And then that top 6 pairing is not too bad either. So, yeah, they definitely have a good defense. They have a good offense. And they also have good goaltending, of course. That's where Mills ended up signing in free agency. I didn't realize that's where he signed. He used to be in Toronto. We dealt him to Toronto. He signed a contract last offseason, I guess, with the Calgary Flames. And he will match up against us in this conference finals. Maybe we should have held on to him, who knows, but he is only making a one-year deal at the moment, so he is pending free agent again, but he's a good starter, and they don't have the best backup, though. He's dropped off a cliff, this Fedorov guy. He only played 138 career games, though, so not a long NHL career, but he's only a 71 overall, which is crazy. So they don't have a great backup, but they have a good starting goalie, they have good defense, they have good offense. Their depth player is not very good, but he probably lost morale due to ice time, I guess. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. I think we definitely could beat them, but we need to be able to somehow balance it out offensively, and then hopefully we could find a way to play better against their defense, because their defense is definitely a defensive core that could shut us down, I would say, if I'm being honest. Sorry, my voice tried to die on me there. I said if I'm being honest, if you couldn't tell. Anyways, final thing we got to take a look at is their player stats in the playoffs as well, because I am curious on what each line has been doing for them. But it should be an interesting matchup. Like I said, I don't remember if we played them before. If we did, it was quite a while ago, I feel like. But here is their player stats. So starting off with their center, Angelo Sanderson's well over point per game as you'd expect. 17 points, 12 games. Ty Lowe's just under point per game. He's been good. Kahn on 8 points. Damn, Evan Kahn's been good too. And then Brian Carlson on 7 points too as a third line center. Even though he's a 78 overall, he's been good. So they are getting good depth scoring. Left wing side of things, McKenna's on 18 points. He's been great. Wang on 9 points has been good. Chartrand only on 6 points is an 87. So he's definitely one to watch out for because he could just break out of nowhere. And then these three guys not doing too much for them offensively. Right wing side of things, Afanasenkov's on 18 points and 12 goals. We got to watch out for this guy for sure in terms of goal scoring. And Morita's been on a good pace too, 8 points in 12 games. Defensively, Cox has 7 points. He's been good. Bernier's on only 3, so they're more defensively oriented. Bernier and Bouillon have been their shutdown pairing, just like our top 6 pairing has been, but that's their top pairing. In general, their plus minuses are kind of random too, but that doesn't mean anything. And then so far, Mills has a 906, which isn't crazy. But yeah, they definitely have some underlying issues in plus minus, I would say. Like, definitely a lot of guys that have not been super good on their team, but that doesn't really mean anything when it goes into a playoff series. So they could definitely still beat us, but it's going to definitely be a little nice heavyweight tilt to see who goes to the Cup Finals. And then there's Rangers and Capitals dueling it out. I'm curious on how good those teams did during the regular season. I'm not going to take a look at their rosters yet, of course, because we might not get to the Cup Finals, but I do want to see how good they were. They were the 4 and 5 team in the Eastern Conference. So almost, I feel like, in a way, just based on how regular season was, I would say technically whoever comes out of the Calgary Flames in our series ends up winning the Stanley Cup potentially, or has the better chance to win it. These two teams might be more cheese teams than you would think. The Rangers were worse offensively, but they were better defensively. So technically it's like the Caps are a better offensive team. The Rangers are more of a defensive team, similar to us in Calgary. We're more offensive, they're more defensive. So it's definitely going to be interesting. I feel like since we're 8-1 in the playoffs, we might have a tough time, but I'm really hoping, obviously, we could somehow find ourselves into that conference finals. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Winnipeg Jets franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll take it to the conference finals against the Calgary Flames as we look to potentially go to a Cup Finals in what could be one of our last episodes of the series. And yeah, this could be a really good run. If we end up winning the Stanley Cup and Aiden Irving decides to call it quits, that would be literally the perfect way to end the series. So that's what I'm still hoping for. But obviously, we never know what could happen with this playoffs. We don't know if these games are just going to throw a random curveball at us. Since we're 8-1 so far, I expect us to have a tough series here and there. Like, we might go to 7 games against the Flames, just because we've had a little bit of an easy run so far. Eventually, you're going to have one of those series that are a lot more tough, and you start to lose a bit more games. But anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.